Evo for the next hour. Sit back and listen to expert interviews in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Listen to such educational shows on community association law, air conditioning repairs, plumbing repairs, estate planning, property damage claims law, real estate law, wealth management, personal injury law, family law, assisted living, and men's health. Now, sit back and enjoy the next hour of Ask the Experts.
Happy Monday to you. I'm Rhonda Hines with Ask the Experts, and tonight I am joined by Josh Whisler, who is our property damage attorney, and who's going to help us walk us through what types of claims you may be facing and problems and how to resolve those issues. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's great to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, happy Monday to you.
You too.
So, Josh, tell us a little bit about yourself. How'd you get started in law?
Sure. So, as a kid growing up watching movies about, righting the wrongs in the world and, bringing justice and giving a voice to the voiceless, power to the powerless, that always inspired me. So I always knew I wanted to go into the law, and that would be a great medium to really help people. So that was really my, inspiration of deciding to become a lawyer and eventually opening up my own firm.
What made you specialize in property law?
Well, when you would see, we've all seen the news broadcasts of natural disasters, and your heart goes out to people, right? Whether it be wildfires, especially here in Florida, hurricanes, right? You just see families destroyed, lives wiped out, communities, devastated. And you always say, how can I help these people? And then your mind is blown when you see this destruction and devastation, and you think that your insurance company is going to be there, is going to back you up and help you rebuild your life. And then you find out that they deny your claim, or they're not going to give you, right, the benefits that you need to rebuild your life. And when I heard some stories about that and I saw that, I said, that's just crazy. I want to get involved. I want to be able to do something to help these people. So that's one of the reasons that we went into this practice area.
Isn't it tough, though, because the insurance policies have these little finite prints where it's, you get it if, this is met, and then there's always a little blueprint of, by the way, XYZ doesn't apply. So how do you get around that?
Right. So we know that the insurance policies are written by insurance company lawyers, right? So they're made specifically to be read in the light most favorable to the insurance companies. So
it's like the house always wins in Vegas.
Exactly. So that's why you really need somebody on your side who knows how to parse out and how to use the policy in our benefit. I like to make the analogy. It's like going to a bank, right? And you go and you deposit $1,000 into the bank, and then a week later, your washing machine and dryer break, and you need that $1,000 back. So you go back to the bank and you say, "Can I have my money?" And they say no. They say, "What do you mean? I was here last week." They say no, and you're like, "I don't understand." And they pull out this 100-page contract, and they say, "Well, remember when you opened up your account, you signed this." And
that money's gone.
Right. And they say, "Well, when did you come and make the deposit?" And you say, "Tuesday." And they said, "Was that in the morning or the afternoon?" And you say, "It was the afternoon." And they said, "Did you go to teller 1, 2, or 3?" And you say, "I went to teller 3." Well, they say, "Oh, well, see, that's why. Because if you look on page 47, subparagraph A, subpart 2, it says, if you deposit on a Tuesday in the afternoon at teller 3, we don't have to give you your money back." And that's basically what happens to most of our clients and a lot of people, is that they're paying their premiums, whether it's hard-earned money, right, annually or semi-annually. And when they're making their claim to try to get the insurance benefits back from the hard-earned money that they paid into, the insurance company says, "Sorry, we're not gonna pay you anything.
We're not going to honor it."
Right.
What kind of claims do you handle? What type of property claims?
So we handle anything from large loss hurricane claims to mold claims to water damage, like if your pipe breaks in your house, vandalism for business owners if they have business interruption issues.
Okay, so if they lose business based on
Right.
vandalism, theft, any number of things.
Any number of things, and they have to close down their business, or they've lost contracts because they couldn't operate at full capacity. There is coverage for that.
Isn't that tough to prove that they've lost business or lost contracts?
It is. So that's why I always tell my business owners it's so important, A, that you have a really good accountant who's keeping track of all your financials, so you can say, hey, the past 3 months, this is the amount I'm making. This month, my profit and loss was much lower, and you can compare it to your past months or your historical months of that year. For example, if you're in the tourism business, right, high season you're going to be making more money than low season. So you'd want to make sure that your accounting is in order so you can show the insurance company what your real damages are.
Right. Aside from theft and vandalism, what are some other type of business losses that people would incur or could incur?
Well, I mean, you've got plumbing issues in businesses. We saw there was in the news, was it a few months ago, there was an explosion.
The toilet blew up?
There was an explosion. I don't know if it's the toilet or not.
Whoops, we got a problem.
There were definitely some problems. And they had the fire department came, they had to close down. So there's a whole slew of things that just come unexpected. And that's a good one. If any of your toilets exploded, let's...
Some tired worker decided they were going to get out of work, right? So those are some examples. So if there, of course, fire, like while you're mentioning the fire department coming, makes sense. There's a number of ways you can lose business, right? But that's where you come in to defend them and say, hey, we can prove a loss. You use their accounting team, and then your skills to hopefully convince the insurance company to do the right thing. Now, let's say when you get involved, do you find that the insurance companies start playing ball more, or are they still kind of playing hide the money?
They're always going to play hide the money, but they definitely come to the table when we get involved. I'll give you an example. It was actually, very heartwarming. I got a holiday letter from one of my clients that we helped out. And that's basically the situation that happened to them. Was they had a massive loss. They called the insurance company, left a message, called the insurance company, kept getting, placed to this department, that department, kept calling, sent emails, no response. No meaningful response, right? Or
deny.
Right. Delay, deny. Then we got involved and we said, hey, enough is enough. And then they started to play ball with us. They went through the proper protocols that they're supposed to do, setting up an inspection, reviewing what we're submitting to the insurance company. But until we got involved, it was just, okay, yeah, very nice. We'll get to you when we get down to your name on the list.
This was reminding me of the movie Rainmaker. You ever seen that with Matt Damon? It's it's like basically there was a manual put together that said, you just keep denying, eventually they'll give up, and you just do it so many times, and hopefully the customer goes away. Do you feel like that there's just kind of an unspoken word at insurance companies that's what they do?
Yes.
That's a strategy?
I see it all the time. I make all my staff members read a book called Delay, Deny, Defend.
Delay, Deny, Defend, okay.
Yeah. I can't remember exactly who the author is, but it basically lays out the strategy of insurance companies for that process. Because not only like you excellently, analyzed and said the longer they delay the claim, the more the policy owner is going to put their hands up, but also the insurance company is making money on that set of benefits that they put in reserve. Because usually if there's a claim, they'll put a certain amount of money in reserve. But until they pay that money out, they're making interest on it.
Yeah.
So technically.
So the more they hold and delay, they can earn their interest. They can keep the money. So the idea is hold my money as long as I can.
100%, exactly. That's what they do.
Wow. So I want to ask you, what is a bad faith? What's bad faith? Bad faith claim.
Sure. So in Florida, and other states have it, but we're here in Florida. So there are certain insurance regulations that are made by the governor and the Department of State, and they have regulations on how the insurance companies have to properly handle a claim. So whether it be they need to respond in X amount of days, they need to properly investigate the claim. There are a whole set of statutes on how the insurance companies have to treat the homeowners, right? And if they violate or go against any of those statutes, then we can bring a claim, a bad faith claim against the insurance company. It basically goes to the state reviews it, the insurance company has a certain amount of time to respond, and if they don't respond adequately, then that enables us to file an additional suit where we can go after basically more serious damages against the insurance company above and beyond what the initial damages were for the insurance company. So that's something that we do all the time when we have basically diagnosed that bad faith has occurred. And it could be something as simple of, like I mentioned for my clients, if they're reaching out to the insurance company doesn't respond properly, that's a violation. That's a bad faith violation.
So is this hard to prove, or is it easy to prove?
Well, like, we try to get everything documented properly. So if we've had situations where they've just like bold-faced lied, and they said, oh, well, we didn't respond this way because you never submitted your proof of loss.
And of course, you've got the documentation to prove it.
We have the proof to show that they actually did receive the proof of loss and responded to it. But
because if you can't prove it, it didn't happen.
Exactly. So that's why I tell all my clients, if you're dealing with the insurance company, before you come with us, make sure you have everything in writing, because until you do, it's he said, she said. Right? So we want to be able to prove with specificity when they violated a bad faith action. And it is a very fact-specific type of process. And any of your listeners you can Google civil remedy notice in Florida, and you can search, all the filings by every single insurance company to see what type of complaints are made by them. So you can check your own insurance company and see what's there. It's public information. It
sounds like, I don't know if this is a recommendation you give your clients, that you start keeping a log immediately of the number of times you've contacted, of course, tracing through email, but I called this date, I spoke to this person, this was the information I was given, just continually keeping a log.
It's so important. And the clients that do provide that to me, their cases move much faster because we have the actual facts to prove.
And it's organized.
Oh, yeah. It's so important.
Josh, give everybody your website and your phone number.
Sure. It's whistlerlawfirm.com. And we've got two numbers, either 561-708-0513, or we have a toll-free number, 833-529-5677.
And you service all of Florida?
All of Florida. We've got offices all over the state, and we have cases all over the state.
So you can go anywhere, and so you go to the Panhandle. Have you had some cases up there because of the hurricanes and things?
Not just the Panhandle. We have quite a few clients from Mexico Beach, which was the epicenter of the hurricane.
That was Irma, right?
That was Michael.
Oh, Michael.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we also have Hurricane Irma claims. We have cases from Marco Island, which that was the first point of contact that the hurricane happened. So yeah, from the Panhandle down to the Keys, everywhere.
We're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk about what's a great homeowner's policy and types of coverages you could recommend, some problems that you face with damage claims from homeowners policies, etc. But yeah, we'll be right back after the short commercial break.
Okay.
At the Whisler firm, they represent homeowners and water mitigation companies against insurance companies who have denied or underpaid claims resulting from property damage. Attorney Whisler is a strong advocate for the policyholder in cases against property insurance companies and will aggressively fight for his clients to ensure a timely and favorable settlement on their behalf. They strive to provide a small firm experience with big firm results. The Whisler Law Firm will help you maximize your compensation. litigation. Attorney Whisler is aware of the complicated process of insurance claims and litigation, and to this end, his clients can expect to receive professional, individualized attention as he works tirelessly to provide them with a positive outcome on their claim. Insurance companies' number one priority is to pay you the least amount possible. At the Whisler Law Firm, their main goal is to get you the most money for your claim. Contact the Whisler Law Firm today at 561-299-4523 and let them get you the most for your claim. That's 561-299-4523.
That's nice. And we are back with Ask the Expert, and I'm here with Josh Whisler. He is our expert on property damage. Josh, we left off, we were going to talk about like homeowners, policies, like what's a great, what amount should we get for coverage? What do we need? What do you consider basically a necessity living in South Florida?
Sure. Great question. If I recommend everybody has hurricane coverage. I know that kind of sounds silly. That is not obvious. It's not obvious. I had a client who lived on the water and did not have hurricane coverage. Could you believe it? And they suffered a hurricane.
Yeah.
Now, flood insurance, that's additional, and that is not included in your typical homeowner's insurance policy. So if you do live in a flood-prone area, and if you can see the water, right, and I from the view of your property, get flood insurance.
Right.
Because we had another client who suffered flood damage, had the hurricane coverage, not the flood damage. And that was a very difficult situation.
Oh, that is tough. So you need the hurricane with the flood.
Right. So
is wind separate?
So wind is typically would be, if you're getting hurricane coverage, that typically
I figured they wanted everything a la carte.
Yeah. Now when you go online, right, you see all those commercials of basically what you said, you could get a la carte and pick. So yeah, I guess you could have situations where you're not getting everything that you're assuming, but never make an assumption.
Because to me, hurricane is wind,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
You would think it would be,
right.
which I just don't know with the policies.
Every policy is different, and again, it's made to be confusing. So I would also say, if you have a property that has cast iron pipes, okay, so we're talking about basically a home that was built in the 70s or earlier.
Yeah.
Make sure you get full water coverage. I've seen a lot of clients come in recently that they thought they had full coverage, right? They're like, well, I've got coverage for,
any type of water.
I got coverage for everything. And even, I thought even zombie invasions. And then I read the policy and it's like, there's a rider in the back that says full water exclusion.
Oh.
So even if you do have a pipe that breaks and floods your entire house, you're not going to be covered. Or they'll have a cap, like a $10,000 cap. Now, if you have hardwood floors, okay, or if you have nice tile, and but more so in the hardwood floors, and you have a flood and it's continuous flooring throughout your house, just the flooring alone is going to be more than $10,000. So just make sure you know what what's being covered. Also, mold is very common down here. So I've seen policies that have a full mold exclusion, so you want to make sure you have that.
That's definitely a necessity here.
100%, yeah. So there's a lot of things, like, I know people are looking to get the best deal, but a lot of times, especially in insurance, you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So paying an extra $25 or an extra $50, might give you an additional $50,000 in coverage.
It's worth it.
So don't just go for the cheapest policy. And I always like to tell, your viewers, it's one of the services that we do, a free policy evaluation, so we can help you identify if you have any holes or gaps in your policy. So if you do go to our website or contact us and you send us your policy, we would be happy to do a free evaluation to let you know if there are any holes in your policy.
Oh, so before you purchase the policy, people can just come to you and get some guidance
or their current policy, if they're saying, I'm not really sure, my agent, kind of sold me something, I can't get a hold of the agent, or I bought it online, and I don't, again, the policies are written by insurance company attorneys. I'm not expecting the common person who's not in this industry to understand what it means.
Right.
So we can definitely let you know.
Because nobody reads their 100-page policy.
No.
But that's great that you offer that to folks.
Yeah.
I think that's really beneficial. I had a situation in our neighborhood. A lot of the neighbors had, is it the old PVC pipes where they explode? Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people didn't have that. There was an exclusion.
Yeah.
Those types of pipes were swelling and bursting. Unfortunately, the contractor, that's what he used in most of the homes. And it was just some people were, I mean, couldn't live in their home, didn't have the money for repairs, insurance didn't cover it. I mean, it's serious.
Yeah. And that's
You
also,
just never know.
you never know. You have no idea where it's going to come from. So you want, full coverage. And that's the thing. Full coverage doesn't mean full coverage. You really have to get in the guts of the policy to see what it really covers, and then check the riders, these extra addendums basically, because they might say, okay, we've added this or we've excluded something.
Right.
So
it's full coverage with some footnotes.
Exactly. Yeah. So you got to be really, really careful with that.
And it can be really confusing, particularly when it's like this stipulation, this stipulation, this. I mean, it's like you have ADD trying to figure it out,
Yeah, right. It's like if this conflicts with this paragraph, and then you have this subparagraph that's connected to the initial. It's like I said,
You're lost.
It's made to be confusing. But the good thing is, in contract law, the tie goes to the runner. So if you have two possible interpretations, it's read against the drafter. So we'll say, hey, this policy doesn't make sense. You could read it two ways. So therefore, judge, you should read it in our favor because they were the ones who wrote it confusingly.
Is that how the judge often looks at it?
Yeah, so that's a concept. It's a concept in contract law that if you can have two different interpretations, so you read it against the person who drafted it because they had the responsibility for making it clear. But now most people, right? If you're not represented, you're just going to take whatever the insurance company tells you it says.
You're just gonna get it.
Right.
So how many people do you think actually just kind of get turned down the first time and give up?
It happened to my own grandma. It happens. I think it's very common. I mean, it's so common that even I don't know if it's just a Florida thing. I deal with mostly here. It just seems like I see it all the time. But again, I take you back to different when we were experiencing different hurricanes, and you see homes that are totally fallen down, or there's just a slab left. Like you'll see, there's just a toilet left, and the insurance company still gives you problems. So if you're going to have a situation where you have a total loss, or that home is not habitable, you would think that's obvious that they would pay you. So if in those situations they're not paying you, I can guarantee you're going to have issues on lower level type of, smaller type of damage claims.
Right. Well, let's say that the home is damaged with mold. Let's say you've got water damage. What are your rights as a policyholder? Do you have to basically leave your home and just wait and kind of fight it out with the insurance companies and go to a hotel on your own dime, or how does that work?
So there's usually a portion of your coverage that's for living expenses, that if you have to move out, so you would want to make sure that you have enough coverage there. Basically, it's if you have to stay in a hotel and you have out-of-pocket expenses, so that's typically covered in your homeowner's policy. But the insured does have a duty to mitigate their damages. So if you see mold or if you see a pipe that's broken, you can't just, lay back and say, oh, well, I'll just wait till my whole house is damaged. No, you have a duty. It's in your policy. You have a responsibility to try to stop it and mitigate it as soon as you can. So there are, responsibilities both ways.
So you're also responsible for getting the remediation company there immediately.
Exactly, yeah.
And then hopefully if you have a good one, they take pictures and document it for you.
Right. Like I said, everything should be documented so you can give it to the insurance company so they can't make an excuse later and say, oh, well, we were prejudiced. We didn't know what actually happened.
Oh, I see. Now, what are some kind of clauses or problems that you kind of run into with the mold? Let's say they do have mold coverage. What are some little glitches that folks should be aware of?
They'll typically say, oh, well, this has been an ongoing problem. This has been a long-term problem that you should have known.
Oh, okay. So they're saying it's not. So it's like maybe you bought the house and the problem had it before you were insured or something.
Right. Or, I mean, the truth is mold can be produced really, in 24, 48 hours. But typically the insurance company will say, oh, if there's mold, their default excuse is, oh, this has happened months ago. And you have a duty to report a damage, soon after you've noticed it. So
Yeah.
we're going to deny coverage because, well, mold, that takes a very long time to happen, even though that's not true.
Yeah.
And we're considering this pre-existing damage. We're not going to cover you.
Has anyone ever also sued and would they use you for this? Like they've developed asthma or medical conditions from the mold, and then so your property damage claim becomes also a medical claim. Has that happened with you?
Yeah, we had a family that their kids were experiencing asthmatic issues and they never had those symptoms before.
Yeah.
So we were able to determine that there was a water leak. There was mold that was caused to it, and it caused a lot of health issues. And still, the insurance company, was dragging their feet. We put on the pressure, and we're able to get them compensated for those issues.
So definitely, you coming in, as we talked about earlier, can get the insurance company to kind of be more responsive, kind of put a scare into them.
We put the pressure on. We put we put in the screws. Put the pressure on. We file, like I said, civil remedy notices, which most people really aren't familiar with.
Yeah.
And that makes the insurance company on the hook for additional liabilities. So they tend to kind of get scared of that. That's another thing. That's why you want to make sure that you have a Florida-based company or a non-surplus line insurance company, because if you have a surplus line insurance company, they're not beholden to the bad faith regulations. Yeah.
Well, Josh, give folks your number and your website again.
Sure. WhistlerLawFirm.com. You can Google us, find us on Facebook or LinkedIn, and you can call us at 561-708-0513 or our toll-free number, 833-529-5677. And like I said before, if you'd like a free policy evaluation, my team is happy to provide that for you.
Well, we're going to be back after this short commercial break. We've really enjoyed having you, Josh. Thanks for coming in and helping us clarify some things and educating us on how we can make sure that we're protected. And we'll be right back after the next minute short break.
All right, thanks.